You guys, thanks for coming out and covering our student athletes and our guys going into this new season. And I've been waiting on this one for a long time. Really excited to be out here with our football team. It's unbelievable weather, and we're 33 short days away from having a chance to go compete. Just anxious, and saw a lot of really good things today, and a lot of things we need to clean up on both sides of the ball, a whole lot. And guys did a great job, not only leading from the younger guys looking to the older guys, but also just getting those guys in from their first year, maybe first practice here, and getting them ready to go. So a lot of young guys with tremendous talent, and then our guys, our vets coming back. We look a lot better today, to me, in 2 short hours than we did at any point during the spring. I like the way that the approach that we had going into today. We had team meetings and position meetings last night, and saw a little bit of a different group with an edge. And it's one day in, but I like where we're at, and look forward to getting back out here tomorrow.
How different does this feel for you?
Oh, a lot different. And I know this. I'm excited to have a chance to coach these guys, and because I know what they've done in the last 6 months. The investment that they've put in, the leadership that we have within our university and our athletic department, I'm pretty fired up.
For the seniors in particular, they haven't had the kind of seasons they would have liked the last couple of years. Do you sense that this means a little bit more to them this year, knowing this is their last chance?
Absolutely. We've talked about it very openly. We've all been disappointed in the way we performed. I'm only talking about last year. Those guys that played and were here are disappointed in the things that we did not get achieved, and they also understand that their clock is ticking pretty quick.
You can run through the guys who weren't here in their situations. Walter Palmore and Malik Young.
Yeah, Palmore will be here I think at 4 o'clock this afternoon, so ready to go. He'll have to go through the physical and all the things that we do from a orientation standpoint to get him ready to go. So hopefully we'll be out here tomorrow morning if everything goes right with the travel. Malik Young is still waiting on clearinghouse with a test score, so hopefully get him here sooner than later, because I think both those guys, get them in and get them trained. They can help us out up front, no question.
And Duron, and I don't know if O'Shea Clark was here.
Yeah, Duron Davis academically didn't meet his requirements to be NCAA eligible, so we're working with him on trying to find the right fit and then getting back here as quickly as possible. And very disappointed as he is and family on coming up short there. But we've got a great plan on getting him back, and we'll continue to stay in close contact relationship with him through now the next few months to try to get him back here as quick as possibly. O'Shea Clark's been suspended indefinitely for team violation, and so working through that.
Nate Howard, still waiting on that case to be resolved.
Nothing changed with that.
You mentioned that this year's a lot different for you. What have you learned from last year?
Up front especially, you guys got so many new guys, and I know a couple of them aren't here yet. I mean, will it be kind of a process getting those guys in and integrating them to what you're doing?
Yeah, we got a lot of gelling to do up front. Obviously, in the spring, we play with a lot of guys that aren't either switch sides of the ball or walk-on kids that helped us out. And so Beckner's got to get a lot of action, as well as Utsi. Got some new additions in there with Whiteside, Nate Anderson, Keel. We got a lot of guys that have got to get in the mix, and those guys have been the heartbeat of this program for a while. And those guys got to, figure out a way to come together through this camp, because we're relying on them still to lead us up front.
What about Beckner has stood out in this summer, in terms of him coming off of those injuries? How much do you have to monitor him too?
Well, he understands where he's at this point. The live action when we get pads on really going to be a true test for him. But he's excited. He's probably nervously excited, but he's just excited to be back out. No restrictions whatsoever. Taking a lot of reps, and really fatigue and conditioning is probably going to be the thing that we have to monitor as coaches. But as far as he goes, he's a green light. He can go and do everything full guard.
How have you seen Eric Beisel grow since you got here?
A lot. It's almost like, where was this guy last year? And again, a lot of guys feel like they can only lead if they're playing. He's a guy that's really taken this team, not only on the defensive side, but the team in general, and has really been that vocal leader, and he's doing it by example. And he's committed to the program, he's committed to his teammates, and he's really kind of changed the leadership and direction of what this team has been.
Can you kind of explain the role, that position where you've got Caleb Pruitt and some other guys that linebacker, safety? How do you describe it?
Well, they're linebackers in this conference and in today's game. Even though you get a lot of spread, you still got to stop the run. And those are kind of hybrid guys that we're using in there to give us a little bit more flexibility in coverage. But we ask them to support the run as well. And then Caleb is a physical guy with a good mix and a good blend there, as well as TJ, who played a little bit last year in that same role. But we still got a couple linebackers that are filling that as well. True linebackers, Brandon Lee, and a couple of new rookies that we're going to look at that spot as well. So it's more of a hybrid position, but we ask those guys to be just as physical in the run game as well.
DeMontie, how quickly does Therese kind of have to catch up to be that other inside guy for you? He hasn't maybe played as much as Eric has.
Not at all. I think Therese has transitioned well. He probably had the best spring of the linebackers. He's really understood. He's a little bit more comfortable in there. He's a physical guy who plays the game the way that I see fit. And so we're going to ask him to do a little bit more. He can cover, but we're going to continue to ask him to be that guy. So I think him and Beisel have really gelled and became that 1-2 punch. But it's not over. We got a couple other guys that are pushing those guys, and a lot can happen in camp.
Where are Jamal and Aubrey coming in as freshmen?
Well, again, the depth has allowed us to look at them slowly. We're going to continue to get them in the rotation, but we got Cale Garrett, Trump at the Mike position, and Jamal's going to have to work his tail off to get some of those reps. So as long as he can learn the playbook and not fall behind, which again, day one's always a little bit simpler, we're going to be fine. But I think that kid's we're going to have a hard time keeping him off the special teams because he's a physical style guy that does well in this conference.
Coach, how much motivation do you think some of your seniors have from missing the?
You're going to see within the league, a little bit of how people are going to play you, and so you look at what you're able to do, did well, and continue to improve upon that, and then find some new things that are going to, make you a better football team.
Do you learn more from Tennessee, a game where you guys have a lot of success, or say Florida and LSU, a game where you guys struggle?
I think you learn a lot through both experiences. I think you look at what we did early in the year, some of the struggles that we had, that lend itself to us having a better understanding of who we were personnel-wise and some of the schemes that we needed to run, and led to a little bit of the success that we had at the end of the year as well.
What priorities of Drew Lock over the offseason? What did you feel like?
You're always continuing to get bigger and stronger, right? Get quicker. You're always continuing to fine-tune the mechanics. He's continued to get better there. But I think the biggest thing with him is just an understanding of what it takes to play the position, and an understanding of defenses, our offensive scheme, protections, all of that. He's so much further ahead than he was at the end of last year. He made strides in spring ball, but just over the summer, you can tell already in the little time that I've had with him, he's come a long ways. And because of that, you're a much calmer player, much more confident. You're in control when you're playing fast. He's still within himself, and he understands when he wants to slow it down and make sure that everything's right as well.
Do you expect Kendall Blanton to take on a bigger role in the passing game this year?
Yeah, absolutely. All those tight ends will. I really love the way those guys have matured physically. Kendall missed the spring. It's going to be important that he gets off to a great start here in training camp. He looks 100% healthy, confident in his ankle, but his size and length lends itself to him being a big part of what we're doing in the passing game. We were able to isolate him a little bit in the latter part of last year and had some success with that. But I think that position as a whole lends itself to it. Jason Reese has had a great summer. Really excited about where he's come and through spring ball as well. And then Albert O, just a young guy, has some tools that we just got to continue to refine and polish his game.
Kendall specifically, when you look at what he can do, you watch film, and do you get kind of excited about maybe figuring out some things to do with him in the red zone? Or
big, long frames like that, not just in the red zone. Everybody thinks about that because you can create some mismatches, and you're typically able to isolate in some one-on-one situations. But there's some things in the field, too, that he's going to have the ability to make some plays on.
Josh, when you have 10 starters back, does it change your approach in camp? You kind of know what you have with your ones, or are you doing a little less evaluating, more getting better?
I wouldn't say that we're doing less evaluating. Maybe a little bit less than we were a year ago at this time. But you got 10 guys back. Really, the tight ends that are back played as much as Culk did too, and we miss his leadership. But other guys are hopefully going to take on that ownership as we go through training camp here. but I think there's still a lot of competition at spots because some of our young guys that maybe redshirted a year ago or young guys that played smaller roles, they've continued to progress the way we wanted them to. So there's competition even with guys that were quote-unquote starters a year ago. But you do have a much better understanding of your personnel, and I think you're more narrowed in your focus schematically and what you want to do and what you can do. And I think that always lends itself to your guys really progressing and taking great ownership and understanding in what you're doing.
What are expectations for Crockett this season? Kai had a little bit of struggles early in the season last year, but then also had a really impressive freshman campaign.
Yeah, a young guy that maybe missed a little bit of training camp with a little bump and bruise. Is the early part of the season, early on in the year, his role wasn't as big as it was at the end of the year. Sometimes that's typical of freshmen because they just continue to grow and get better and mature week to week. He fumbles the ball early against West Virginia, but continued to play well down the stretch. And obviously, he's a guy that should take more and more ownership of his football team, more ownership of that position in the carries.
Coach, what was your